Hello everyone, my name is Blessing Ebietoma, and in today's video I'll be taking you through the process of the cutting and making of this dress. If it is something you are interested in, keep watching. I made use of 4 yards of Ankara fabric to make this particular dress you have seen, and I'll be using a pattern paper to cut the upper part of the dress because of how colorful the fabric is. Also, if you'll be recreating this style, make sure you watch this video to the end because I'll be sharing some vital tips that I learned through the process of cutting and sewing of this dress. For the cutting of this dress, I've gone ahead to mark out my lines. I marked out my under bust line, my waistline, and now I'm marking my chest line at 8 inches. The next thing I'm doing is I'm marking 5 inch from the midpoint. This 5 inches will serve as my allowance for this dress. I'm just connecting the lines, and every other measurement that I will be taking will be from the 5 inches. Now I am marking my bust measurements, my waist, my under bust measurements, my waist measurements, and the other waist. Remember the smoke, I will be smoking this dress until my waist. Now I'm connecting my armhole measurement, but disregard that part because that part is not necessary. I'm marking 6 inches from my shoulder measurement. That's 6 inches. Now that will be where the dress will be starting from, because the 8 inches for my chest line is too much and I don't want to reveal my cleavage. The next thing, now I am cutting the pattern. I'm so sorry that the camera did not capture that part, but just cut out the armhole. I made use of just 3 inches to cut 3 inches for the depth, and then for the fabric I am folding the two ends together so I can get the length that I desire. And then what I'm doing right now is that I am marking 1 inches. This 1 inches will serve as the allowance so I can fold the chest line. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This 1 inches, now this is where the pattern will start from. After the 1 inches, and I'm just spinning the fabric. The next thing I'm doing is I'm connecting the line from the waistline, just connecting it to the end of the fabric depending on how full you want yours to be. Then I am cutting out my pattern. I'm cutting out the dress, sorry. I'm just connecting the shoulder, the armhole to the 1 inch that we marked out. Then I am cutting out the pattern. To make sure that it's not having a funny curve by the side when I'm done sewing, I'm just curving it inside the waist to make sure that it has a smooth line. And that's all for the cutting of the dress. Now for the sleeve, now it depends on how full you want your sleeve to be. Just make sure that you use enough fabric as possible. I added 1.5 inch for the up and 1.5 inch to the down parts, so I added 3 extra inches to my 10 inches sleeve length. That is 13 inches sleeve length. This is the pocket. To cut the pocket, I used 8 inches for the width and I used 14 inches for the length. And I'm just giving it this curve just to add style to it, but it's not necessary. That's all for the cutting of the pocket. Now the sewing of the dress. For the sewing of the dress, I started by folding out the 2 inches that I added to the down part of the dress, and after folding the down parts, I went ahead to fold in the 1 inches we added. Remember, we added just 1 inch, so it wouldn't be too big. I'm just folding in the 1 inches that we added to the upper part of the dress. The next thing that I'll be doing is to fold in the 1.5 inches that we added to the sleeve, both the up and the down parts. I'm just folding them in just like you have seen. I'm marking out the 1.5 inch. I folded the up part. Now I'm folding the down part of the sleeve. I'm making use of this elastic thread, and make sure that you are going to frill your shuttle. The shuttle shouldn't be too tight, if not you will just waste the thread. Make sure that it is free, and then the next thing I'm doing, I'm just testing it out to see if it's actually stretchy or too tight. And after getting the desired stretch that I want, I went ahead to bring my fabric, and I started by marking the 18 inches. After removing the 6 inches, the total was 24, but after removing the 6 inches, I had 18 inches. So I'll be smoking all the way from the up part to the 18 inches. Then I took it to my sewing machine, and then I started smoking it. You have to be very patient when doing the smoking. For me, I used half inch in between. After the first line, I used half inch, and then the next, just like that, just half inch in between the smoking. And then make sure that you are expanding the fabric, wide the fabric. That's the only way to make sure that the smoke is perfect. If not, it's going to look like a gather stitch when you start sewing on it. But make sure that as you sew it, you widen the fabric, so you will not have a gather stitch. After doing the first one, I went ahead to do the second one, and then I am done with the smoky. Now it's time to fix elastic in the armhole. What I'm doing now is that I am marking for my round sleeve. I'm using 12 inches for the shoulder, and I'm using 11 inches for my round sleeve. So what I'm doing now is that I'm just going to fix the elastic. After fixing it in one part, I'll pass it round, and then when I get to the other end, I'm going to stitch it again. I'll do the same thing for the down part. I'll go ahead to do the same thing for both sleeves. And when I'm done with that, I'll just sew the pockets just like you have seen. Close the pockets, and after sewing the pockets, time for the actual sewing of the shaping of the dress. To shape the dress, I'll be bringing the two together, and the sleeve just like you have. So the sleeve, I'll just first of all make sure that I sew the sleeve to the dress. And then how will I do that? I'll be using the armhole. After fixing the sleeve to the dress, the next thing I did was to shape the dress with 1 inches. And about what I said in the beginning of the video, if you have watched this video to this point, I learned 2 things from making this dress. Number 1, I learned that when you're making a smoke dress, you should add extra inches. Normally, I like 62 inches for my long dress length, and then I made it like that, plus the 2 inches for the folding of the dress. But at the end of the day, the dress became shorter. It wasn't as long as I expected it. It is long there, but I wanted it to like cover my feet even when I'm wearing my heels, but it wasn't that long. And then the next thing I also learned from making this dress is that the width of the dress after the half length shouldn't be too wide. If you paid attention to the cutting of this dress, I just connected the line from the waist to the end of the fabric because I wanted it to be very wide. But after sewing this dress and after I shaped it, when I tried it out, it wasn't coming out very fine. I had to lose it, remove the pocket, and I had to trim the down part of the dress. The width was about 36 inches for each of them, the front 36 inches and the back 36 inches. That was how I was able to come out with that dress looking like that. So if you have watched to this extent and you're listening to this part, kindly write down the things that I said about what I learned. Just write it down in the comment section. I want to see the comments of those who actually watched to this part of the video. So if you have seen that part, just kindly write down the things that I said I learned. Because we are making a smoked dress, I'm just going ahead to stitch it again just to ensure that we don't have any loose stitch, because when you are sewing smoky, you know how stitching the smoked area can be. So that's what I'm doing. And after doing that, the next thing that I would do is to stitch the other parts. Please remember that we are not going to stitch 7 inches from the smoked stitches. Like, look at it. After the smoke stitches, I'm marking 1 inches. Then I'll go ahead to mark the width of my pocket, which is 7 inches. Then I will mark that part out. That part we are not stitching it. So I'll be using 1 inch to shape it. After stitching the sides, the next thing is to stitch the pockets. To stitch the pockets, what I will do is to mark the midpoint of my pockets. Then I'll be stitching it from the up part to the end of the 7 inches. After stitching it to the 7 inches, I will go ahead to stitch the other parts of the pocket, just like you have seen. I'll go ahead to stitch it to the allowance. Then after doing that, I'll just stitch it to the up parts, and then your pocket is ready. Just look how beautiful it is. And that's all for the sewing of this dress. This is how mine turned out. Very, very beautiful. The smoke is just perfect. It's not too big, it's not too tight, it is just perfect, just like you have seen. Let me know if you'll be recreating this dress, and if you found this video useful, please don't forget to like this video, turn on your notification, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get notified the next time that I post a video. Thank you for watching. Bye.